Everybody, we have a lot of news to go over in today's fourth stimulus check update, so you want to be sure to stay until the end of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and family. Now let's get into the very important stimulus check news. Crisis this year, folks, has brought with it financial hardship for millions of Americans, and federal governments have acted to alleviate the suffering that Americans have faced. And all of this is done through the stimulus checks and the stimulus bills that were approved. Folks, in regards to the increase in your Social Security benefits, well, Senator Schumer, Warren, and Ron Wyden have unveiled a plan to increase benefits by $200 per month for all Social Security beneficiaries. The plan is set to provide more than 60 million Americans with an additional $4,000 over 2 years. It's all part of the Democrats' bold Phase 3 stimulus proposal. Yes, folks, this is great news. It looks like our Democrats in Congress are finally looking to help out our American seniors and increase the Social Security benefits. You support the increase in Social Security benefits, folks. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Now I want to provide an update on our efforts to help millions of Americans down south recover and rebuild from Hurricane Ida. We've been monitoring this hurricane closely and the devastation it's caused. To date, 6 deaths. About 1 million homes are without power in Louisiana and Mississippi. While the catastrophic flooding wasn't as severe as it was during Hurricane Katrina 16 years ago.
Now Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren, as well as Ron Wyden, have revealed a plan to increase monthly benefits of Social Security, veterans, SSI, and SSDI by $200 a month. This would improve the lives of millions of Americans and help the economy stabilize. Now, the Democratic plan, everybody, would give seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities who have earned this benefit by contributing to Social Security, with every paycheck, an additional $4,000 over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Governor, and first, my condolences and heart and prayers to all of the families who have lost loved ones. Imagine the horror of you're sitting in your own basement apartment and the water just floods in all of a sudden with no notice, and you struggle to get out, but you can't. It's an awful, awful situation, and our hearts go out to them. I, too, want to thank all of our New Yorkers.
Now, Chuck Schumer said this: immediately increasing Social Security benefits will put money in the pockets of seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities during these uncertain times. Senate Democrats are committed to quickly delivering relief to the millions of Americans bearing the weight of this public health crisis. And Elizabeth Warren, folks, said this: increasing Social Security benefits will get money directly to millions of people quickly, delivering immediate relief to Americans at heightened risk during the crisis and boosting our economy.
For Center here, and thank you to the volunteers who are here and many who are not, but all of them important, because the public policy that we put forth to help people for the people has to be accessible to them, whether it's linguistically, culturally, just informationally, and thank you for making those connections. It's, again, an honor to be here.
I want to see our politicians keep their promise to the American people and send out more stimulus relief, as well as increase the Social Security benefits. Do you guys agree with me? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The only catch was that you had to file a tax return or provide information to the IRS to receive a stimulus check, prompting many Americans to do so for the first time. Filing taxes can be a daunting task, folks, and collecting all the paperwork and checking all the boxes. So many Americans turn to tax preparers. However, a bipartisan pair of U.S. representatives introduced legislation that will give the IRS the ability to hold tax preparers accountable for misinformation. The Taxpayer Protection and Preparer Proficiency Act would establish competency standards that will reduce the risk for families from shoddy taxpayers. Everybody, after approving President Biden's $3.5 trillion budget plans, Democrats are now set to draft a spending package. It is likely to be funded by tax hikes on the wealthiest Americans, investors, and large companies. President Biden has proposed a 28% corporate tax rate, higher than the current level at 21%. And that's enough money for the government to finance 2 more $1,400 stimulus checks, similar to the ones that most Americans received in the $1.9 trillion Biden stimulus law during the crisis. Americans have already received 3 stimulus checks since the start of the crisis, folks. In the latest round, containing checks worth up to $1,400 was sent out in March. A recent Change.org petition has over 2.8 million signatures, urging a 4th stimulus check of $2,000 for adults and $1,000 for dependents, paid out monthly for the duration of the crisis. In addition, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is saying this. She said that it is up to lawmakers in Congress to decide whether another round of checks will be introduced. Bernie Sanders was noting the difference between the two parties since congressional Republicans in previous years have approved tax cuts for the wealthy Americans. Guys, Bernie Sanders is making his case based on a budget proposal, which promises universal pre-kindergarten and tuition-free community college. It also expands healthcare coverage through Medicare and creates pathways to citizenship for millions of Americans. But Republicans said the plan is loaded with unnecessary spending and tax increases. Ron Wyden, Mark Warner, and Sherrod Brown have already released a draft framework aimed at ending incentives for companies to move operations out of the United States. As of August 20th, there are still 10.1 million unprocessed individual returns. Nearly 20 million were processed in the last month, potentially meaning the delays are at an end. Usually the IRS sends refunds within a 3-week window, once a tax return has been released. Now we're in September, folks, and millions of Americans are still without the tax returns. The amount of tax returns processed by tax day for 2020 was down 10 million from the year before. In total, 135.8 million returns were processed in 2021. The delay has exacerbated by people being unable to come into work and also with financial support that the IRS is supporting Americans with. In regard to the stimulus check, folks, here's what you have to know. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a great day and stay safe.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. We completed one of the biggest airlifts in history, with more than 120,000 people evacuated to safety. That number is more than double what most experts thought were possible. No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history. Only the United States had the capacity and the will and the ability to do it, and we did it today. The extraordinary success of this mission was due to the incredible skill, bravery, and selfless courage of the United States military and our diplomats and intelligence professionals. For weeks, they risked their lives to get American citizens, Afghans who helped us, citizens of our allies and partners and others on board planes and out of the country. And they did it facing a crush of enormous crowds seeking to leave the country. And they did it knowing ISIS-K terrorists, sworn enemies of the Taliban, were lurking in the midst of those crowds. And still,